In a quiet Dallas neighborhood, what began as a simple workplace dispute escalated into one of the most brutal crimes Texas has seen in years. A husband, a father, a hard-working motel manager, and in broad daylight in front of his wife and son, his life was taken in the most horrific way imaginable. This is the story of Chandra Mouli Nagamallaiah, known to his friends as Bob, and the shocking crime that left a family shattered and a city reeling.
Every victim leaves a trace. Every trace tells a story. And every story brings us closer to the truth.
Chandra Mouli, known to friends and family as Bob or Mully, was 50 years old. He was born in Dharmavaram, Andhra Pradesh, and spent much of his adult life in Bengaluru. People who knew him describe a gentle, conflict-averse man, the kind of person who could smooth over a tense moment with a soft word and a patient nod. For years, he built a modest living running a paying guest accommodation there, learning the rhythms of hospitality, late arrivals, maintenance headaches, and the quiet satisfaction of keeping a place running so others could rest. When he talked about the future, it wasn't grandiose. It was steady. He wanted a life in hospitality, first a foothold, then, if luck and work allowed, a small chain he could one day call his own. At some point between 2018 and 2020, he packed those plans and came to the United States. Texas became the proving ground. He started in San Antonio, where motels are a backbone business, sturdy, unglamorous, always busy. He learned new systems, adjusted to new expectations, and kept the same calm presence that had served him well in India. In 2021, he moved to Dallas to manage a modest property near the Cotton Bowl, a place called Downtown Suites. For Mully, it wasn't just a job, it was the path he believed in. "Hospitality is my dream," he told his family. Home was his anchor. His wife, Nisha, shared his quiet resilience. His son, Gaurav, 18, had just finished high school and, because of his father, planned to study hospitality management. The people closest to Mully described kindness without theatrics, helping a colleague with an extra shift, walking slowly after dinner because he loved the evening air, staying late to make sure a guest's issue was resolved. When friends organized a fundraiser after his death, they wrote about him with tenderness. Humble, generous, and determined to build something steady for his family. Even in a tough line of work, he kept showing up. Anyone who's worked in East Dallas motels can tell you about the grind. Long shifts that eat weekends, unpredictable guests, and maintenance battles that never quite end. You fix a leak and a dryer fails. You solve a billing issue and the ice machine jams. September 10, 2025 began like 100 other days. There was a list of repairs to get through, a few reminders for staff, and the ordinary chaos that comes with keeping a tired property alive. Somewhere on that list sat a stubborn washing machine, the kind of problem that wastes time, eats money, and keeps staff behind. Later, detectives would call what happened that day one of the most brutal incidents they had ever worked. Prosecutors charged capital murder. The man accused is 37-year-old Yordanis Cobos-Martínez, and his past did not begin in Dallas. Credible records across Florida, California, and Texas show years of arrests and cases that pulled him in and out of courtrooms and jails. In February 2017, in Brevard County, Florida, police arrested him for felony grand theft auto after an allegedly stolen Mercedes. That charge was later dropped. 4 months later, in June 2017, he was arrested in South Lake Tahoe, California, for attempted carjacking. The police report from that night paints a chaotic scene. He was reportedly naked and admitted to having consumed around 20 beers and a marijuana joint. A jury later acquitted him of carjacking, but convicted him of false imprisonment. In Texas in 2018, Harris County prosecutors charged him with indecency with a child and aggravated assault. Years later, in January 2023, the indecency count was dismissed for insufficient evidence. The assault charge was reduced to a misdemeanor through a plea deal, and he received a 1-year sentence with credit for time served while awaiting trial. Accounts from that period say that during his time in custody, he punched a jailer, a moment that, according to defense and court notes, helped form the basis for the misdemeanor plea. By August 2023, he was on probation in that case, then accused of fleeing that jurisdiction. By 2024, the California case had turned him into a fugitive on paper, and he was arrested and transferred to ICE custody at the Bluebonnet Detention Center. There was a final order of removal, but Cuba refused to accept him back. On January 13, 2025, he was released under supervision in the United States. By September, he was working in Dallas. Those close to him have said publicly that he struggled with mental illness for years. That is their claim, and it is on the record. But no court-filed diagnosis has been made public. What we can say is that intoxication has appeared in his history. In the 2017 California incident, the police report noted the alcohol and marijuana he admitted to consuming. That speaks to substance use in at least one prior case. It does not establish mental illness. After his arrest in Dallas, police took a blood draw, which is standard in a violent felony. Results were still pending in early reports. As for how this began, the spark that set a day on fire, accounts converge on a small, irritating workplace problem: the washing machine. Mully told a coworker not to use it because it was broken. Communication was strained. A female coworker stepped in to translate. Whether it was the substance of the message, "Don't use it," or the fact that the message came through her, something in that exchange enraged Cobos-Martínez. Surveillance video would later show him leaving, then returning with a machete. In a breath, a maintenance note had become a chase. Mully ran toward the office, the one place he knew he could find help. His wife and his son were there. He screamed. Within seconds, the parking lot went from ordinary to unthinkable. Nisha and Gaurav rushed out, trying to stop the attack. The affidavit says Cobos-Martínez shoved them aside and continued striking. In the midst of it, he rifled Mully's pockets, taking a phone and a keycard lanyard, and then kept cutting until the assault ended in decapitation. Witnesses and police would later say he kicked the head into the lot and carried it to a dumpster. The scene stunned everyone who saw it, including first responders hardened by years of calls. A wife and son had watched a nightmare unfold where they should have been safest, within steps of home and work, under the daylight among people who knew them. Dallas fire rescue units spotted the suspect and tailed him as he walked away, still holding the machete. Police closed in. There was no prolonged standoff, no negotiated surrender. He was arrested, taken in, and at headquarters, according to reports, admitted using the weapon. By the end of the day, he was booked into the Dallas County Jail on a charge of capital murder and held without bond. An immigration detainer was added soon after. And that is where the case stands now. Cobos-Martínez remains jailed without bond under the capital charge, with an ICE detainer in place. Prosecutors will decide whether to seek death, a decision that triggers a different pace and scope of litigation, mitigation specialists, mental health evaluations, and a jury process that probes not just what happened, but why.